agenda where the side beer.
You always gotta make a little noise. Guys, welcome to the episode of Into West Comics. My name is Frank. Sonny is here.
I'm back.
All bronzed up.
I am bronzed up. I'm feeling good. There we go. Hey,
No bronzer. That's the Hawaiian
that's
sun.
natural
that hit him.
Hawaiian sun over here.
Jerk. Great.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. This is for Paul.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
You can have that.
The hot dog corn dog Paul is here.
Hi, I'm back. You had a week without me or Sunny. How weird.
I
He
know.
looks the same. Paul looks the same.
You're tan too.
Yeah,
You look
I'm
great.
tanner.
My,
Wait,
my goodness, that hair. Uncle nephew
Oh,
Shane is here.
That
I
beer's
was
looking
just going to
fantastic.
say.
Not your hair. I'm talking about Paul's hair.
is Shane tan?
Good morning.
Watch it, okay? We're
He's-
still in the February.
Paul grew a ton of hair while he was away. There's more hair than ever. Man.
Oh, wow. And over there in the lounge.
Boo. I haven't done it in a long time.
Oh,
I
you
miss
just
you.
feel
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was to you.
Oh,
Oh,
Sonny's gone full heel.
it did. It
Over,
seemed like it
over
was to
there in the
Marcus, right?
lounge, we've got Brother Marcus. Brother Marcus is
Brother
here.
Marcus. Good evening, everyone.
Ooh, sultry vibes.
Sultry man.
How's it going?
And
Nice.
please welcome our very special guest. This book, a few months ago when it hit stands, it was one of the things that I think we were talking about constantly because it just kind of creeped us out. It was kind of a cute, scary thing that
go cute, scary.
was going on. And right away, we knew we were going to try to do whatever we could to get in contact with the creator.
Yep.
We're going to spend an evening in Woodbrook with its creator. The series is called Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees. Please welcome the artist and writer, creator, Mr. Patrick Horvath.
Hey.
Hey, hi everybody. Thanks for having me on. I sincerely appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, glad to have you on.
We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us tonight. It does mean a lot. Patrick, I'm going to get right to it. How many bears did you interview for this story, and how many of them had criminal records or a dark past? Are we going to find out later that Samantha's been relocated? Give us a little bit of background about the series, how it came together, how this idea materialized.
Yeah, I mean, it all came about off of a drawing I did maybe 7 years ago, and it was just as a daily practice. I would draw just every day, first thing in the morning.
Nice.
And it was just something to do. And a lot of my drawings tend to have this quality where they look like snapshots of like something happened before and something's going to happen after, and it's this moment within it. And I don't necessarily have an idea of like what that is as I'm drawing it, you know what I mean? But that they lent themselves to that. And so I just drew this drawing of a bear, like an anthropomorphic bear with an axe on the shoulder, wearing like overalls, and it was bloody.
Sold.
And that was it. And then I just kind of thought, in that moment of just kind of looking at it throughout the day and whatever, the story of like, well, it'd be kind of funny if this was like a serial killer bear. It'd be kind of funny if you lived in like a town that was like in the children's books type of thing. And Richard Scarry was a big, like, it was my first touchdown when I was thinking about it. I was like, it'd be really funny if they were like thriving in this town and everybody thought they were like a great member of the community, but they were honestly like just serial killers hiding in plain sight. And that sat for a long time until I had an opportunity to pitch stuff to IDW in like 2021. And then that was like one of maybe 4 pitches. And it was a real, like, I had an idea of like, basically like, it'd be funny if there was like another killer in the town. And it would be sort of the spy versus spy of like a killer. The only way to catch a killer is with a killer. And then that was sort of the main driving force for it all. And then like I said, there were 3 other pitches I did for other stuff. But they were like immediately, we like this one. Like, let's see more of that one. And so then I like fleshed it way out with a big outline. And then, and here we are. But that's essentially like the main through line of it. So it's kind of been stuck in my head for like around 7 years, maybe. But like the nuts and bolts of like the whole story, that's pretty fresh.
That's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think going into the first issue was one of those books where it wasn't on my pull. I came to the new comic book shelf and I said, "Oh, this looks really interesting." It was kind of spooky season. I don't remember exactly which month the first book dropped in. It might have been October, maybe the month before. And I grabbed it and I loved it. And the thing that hooked me, and I think hooks a lot of people, is it is an incredibly interesting and unique idea, but you stack on top of that with, at the end, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a story of this bear who goes to the city and murders people, and she might get caught up in some business. And then you throw the hook in of she's got to solve the serial killer of someone else who is killing people so that she doesn't get caught. And I went to the guys at the desk at my comic book shop and said, all right, yeah, I need this on my pull. So,
Yeah.
so just that exact moment was when I was like, okay, this is different. This is awesome. And the interesting thing is I was never a huge fan of Dexter, but this with the anthropomorphic animals grabs me in a different way. And your art is awesome.
The art is amazing, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I definitely wanted it to have that extra layer of like killer catching a killer. I don't know. I just found it really fascinating. Oh, I mean, the big thing too is that it's like, I wanted it to, if you're going to have a serial killer being your main character, and again, this is sort of a page of the Dexter book, but it's like, you're going to have to put them at odds with something like equally, problematic. And then also, it would, to sort of step back and outside of the realm of like we're following a serial killer, it's literally just a person who had their hunky-dory life going on for decades, and then they had the rug pulled out from under them, which I feel like is the very universal thing that people can commiserate with.
Absolutely.
And so that was another sort of reason why I wanted to do it that way. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that it's landing well. It appears like people are very into it in terms of, that main hook from the first issue. I didn't know if people were going to be along for the ride for the rest of the stuff, but I felt like super strong with the first issue.
Yeah,
It's
Go
nice.
ahead, Sonny.
No, I was just gonna piggyback on you comparing things to Dexter. Like that's one of my favorite shows. I'm actually rewatching it now. We were talking about this before we went live. You're gonna get the comparisons with the killer versus the killer, and was there a little bit of inspiration that you pulled from that? Is that
it was? It was definitely so. The full deal with Dexter is that I haven't seen it. But
okay.
it was such an easy cultural touchstone that it was like the first thing that we had talked about, and just trying to sell the book to anybody,
right?
Because it is very similar to it. And then, as soon as I started like spinning my gears on the story for this thing, I was like, well, it's basically like, from what I understand, it's very similar to Dexter. Maybe I should watch Dexter. And I was like, maybe I don't want to watch it because I don't want to like start copying like the storylines.
No, seriously.
Yeah,
and now it's sort of like I very much want to watch Dexter, but I have to wait until I'm done with it. So I'm like I'm very close to being done with issue 6, and which is it's a limited 6-issue series. And also just to touch on that too, like if it does well enough, I'm very open to doing more.
I was going to say
you there.
So we basically just have to see how it goes. But so I was aware of the Dexter stuff. I don't know that much of it, but I do know that he essentially like kills bad people. And I very much wanted her not to do that. I wanted it to be not cool. So like I basically had her just like cold-bloodedly just killing randos because that's honestly like the smartest way to go about doing it, and then to not get caught. But then also, I very much wanted it to be, I mean, it's like Mother Nature, you know what I mean? In terms of like, who gets taken out, etc. Like, I mean, bears in the wild are just murdering other things to live. So.
Facts.
Like, it's
Survival
very
of the
much.
fittest.
We can touch on this too, but I mean, like, there's real animals in it. That
Yes, I
plays
wanted
a
to
part
ask
of
you
it.
about that. Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead in the conversation, but
Survival of the
but
fittest.
The randomness very much was the a way to kind of step away from Dexter, but then also just kind of make it I don't know, more interesting. I very much wanted it to be like a problematic person that we're following.
It's not like a hero. She's like a
No,
real murderer.
Not at all. Just a completely super functional psychopath.
Yeah, and
I love the pig real fast. I love the pig character is taking her dog for a walk. I'm just like what's going on here? It's that randomness about it
awesome.
that makes it so that does make it, as Paul would say, compelling, because anything goes. It just happen to be animals in this world doing regular stuff.
And I mean that stuff totally also was a nod to the Richard Scarry children's books, because if you look at those Busy Town covers, there's one in particular, I can't remember the title, but it literally has like a little like row of shops on the front, and it's one of the shops is like a butcher shop, and it's a pig like working at the butcher shop. There's like sausage links and stuff, and you're like, that's so messed up. Like, nobody can talk about like what's getting
Skip over that. We're just That's
so
awesome.
It was a fun thing to play with for sure, and it does play in the. I mean, I guess we're sort of talking about it, but the animals in the thing has been like a big talking point that people brought up in terms of like, what is it? Is it going to get explained? Like, does this make sense or whatever? And it very much was just a nod to the Richard Scarry stuff, but I mean, it plays in a part. I mean, it's a big part of issue 1. It's not big, but I mean, it's a notable part of issue 1.
Definitely.
And it's going to come back. I'll definitely say that. And then it's funny because it very much makes, I don't know, it's somehow it just felt like a necessary thread to add to the tapestry of like the book, in terms of, like I mentioned, sort of, the sort of the kind of cold-bloodedness that nature can have, and then to have these sort of, animal people. The juxtaposition of that was pretty fun.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it works really well.
Amazing.
And I think it helps, makes the world feel more lived in a way. It feels like things exist outside of this character's being, which always helps flesh out a world. And I know a lot of people have talked about it. You mentioned it. I love that kind of weird, and like it's a hunky-dory town, but also there's a meat shop where they're selling veal, and there are
I'm literally
like, and also you were talking about, I just want to hear about your process for like how you decide the way Sam acts and what she does. Because she is a psycho. She breaks into the girl's house to see if she's sleeping with dead bodies when she's just a grieving wife, a grieving widow.
Right.
And I think
so creepy.
but the town at the same time is so
Wholesome.
hunky dory
Yeah,
that when
it's
she's like,
wholesome.
I was just worried about you, she's like, oh, okay. Like she doesn't have a second thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to know what your
So
creative
creepy.
process is for Sam and the decisions
funny
she makes.
and odd and wonderful all at the same time.
Yeah.
No, but it's a great balance though for the artwork too.
Yeah.
I was talking to Marcus about it, like how the art is like, it's cute, and it does very much like that's the first thing I thought of, Patrick, when I was reading the first issue. Was I was like, this looks like a horrific psychopathic Richard Scarry book. Like this is, and it was fantastic. I was like, what if Lowly Worm went on a killing spree back in the day and took everybody out in Busy Town? Shout out to Lily Worm, but that was the you're talking about, bears, that the bears eventually will go bear, but not all bears are wearing mom jeans and got
that sensible top.
got the bags with shop local on it. I mean, it's all those little nods to it that makes the world building in this town of Woodbrook so fun, and that's what's been so enjoyable. So really, well done. I mean, it's really good.
That. I feel like there's a couple of things to unpack, but it's
sorry.
Unpack
Take
it.
your time.
To go to just in terms of Samantha and how Samantha operates, I kind of put together a psychological profile in terms of what she wants, not so much like what makes her tick, but like kind of what's the decision making process for her. And she's very controlling, very specific type of person, really hates stuff out of order. And then also has this obvious bloodthirsty compulsion to sort of, that feels like an itch, like she gets horny to kill, basically, right? And so and then has to deal with that on like a monthly basis or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so basically and even that is a very orderly process, right? She doesn't like a lot of drama with it at all. And needs it to be as controlled as possible. And I think control is like the ultimate thing for her, in terms of like how she sort of deals with, the killing and then the pulling apart and then like the putting away in like paint cans. And, even like the smothering in paint cans is like with the white paint is very specific. And so that's, kind of getting into like the way she likes it. And Woodbrook's perfect because everybody's so naive for the most part, it seems, that like she's kind of a couple steps ahead of everybody. And then she, uses that to exploit it as much as possible in terms of just like doing everything that kind of she wants to do without having to be under any sort of, suspicion or microscope or whatever. Like she's so far away from suspicion from anybody.
Right.
It's in issue 2, the sheriff kind of mentions like nobody's really been murdered in Woodbrook for like a long time, which is interesting.
You're like,
that might come up at some point. But and then also how she got the store was sort of a hand-me-down from her parents, and her parents aren't around either, which is also like an interesting thing that I don't get into, but like might come up later.
When you get your extra 6 issues, you'll get into it.
Get ready.
So it's it's interesting. It was fun to have that as the backdrop for her to have this like very very like strangely clinical mind that sort of strategized this whole existence, and like she doesn't want to like push it. You know what I mean? There's no boundary pushing for her. It's literally just like, I'm hungry, I eat. This is how I do that. If I get cold, this is how I get warm.
Right.
When I feel like I gotta kill somebody, like this is how I do it.
I'm going to go do it.
So that's kind of that was my approch to her and how she sort of.
It's like when Frank's wants a hamburger.
Yeah.
He just gets it.
He just gets that
Going
damn
down.
cheeseburger.
Or anything.
You want a cheeseburger? Like you go about, you know how to get a cheeseburger. So you go,
Go about getting that damn burger.
It's very matter of fact.
I'm gonna go full Samantha to In-N-Out, and then it's over.
You want to bury a duck from the inner city in a lawn?
Animal style.
Go do it. Animal style?
Oh, I did that on purpose.
animal style.
Frank dissects a double.
Not much dissection. It's good.
Oh, this is going pleasantly. I love it.
Anyways.
I was going to mention here in the chat to you, Patrick. Sean Irwin's got a question here. If the other 3 pitches for IDW had been picked up, would they have been like in that same style, that watercolor style for the artwork? Is that your preferred medium for comics?
Yeah, it is. I let's see. I've done a couple of things in the past, but not a lot. I mean, I think that's another thing that a lot of folks aren't familiar with my work because I haven't done a lot. But I did do, like, back in 2014, I did a short that was part of an anthology for the writer Josh Trujillo, for his anthology Love Machines, and that was like my first like comics gig. And then maybe around 2021, I want to say, I started doing. I did an issue for Haha.
Yep.
For W. Maxwell Prince, and then that was like my first full-on, soup to nuts issue. And then I did all interior. I did a cover, and that was like my preferred, doing ink with. I do like watered down gouache basically, and it's treated like watercolor for the most part.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, I very much. And also prior to that too, I did a little like 40-page graphic novella called Free for All, and it's on my website.
Sick.
It's free if anyone wants to check it out. But that one I
Definitely.
did. I just inked it and then colored it digitally. And so the process for that was I hated it. Like, I hated digitally coloring. It was miserable. I'm bad at it. I'm not good. It doesn't come naturally to me at all. I really fuss over the pages a lot more than I probably need to. And I see other digital artists who just like crank out this gorgeous stuff. And I'm like, I wish I could do that. That looks so fast and great and very expressive. And like, I wish I could do that. And then I realized, like, basically halfway through doing Free For All, I was like, I think what I want it to look like is just if I painted it. So, like, I don't know why I'm not painting it.
Right.
And so it just
That
saved
clicks.
me. And it's not like it takes, it's not that fast, but it's a lot faster than if I did it digitally. And then I tend to do a lot of rendering because I have like a pretty thin line style, but I like to render in the colors. And so, again, like the painting part was just it was just a lot easier for me to do that way. So that's why I kind of leaned into it, and that's my preferred style. I definitely would have done that with any of the other pitches. It wouldn't have had the same palette, and it wouldn't have had maybe the same like kind of friendly vibe that this one has. But it would have been sort of similar. I mean, definitely similar to if you see my work in Haha, it would be probably close to that.
Sure.
But I'm also like kind of looking to, evolve the style. And so, it's probably going to change a little more. And I'm thinking of like even moving away from inking altogether and like doing lines with just more like acrylic ink or acrylic paint even.
That would be cool.
But definitely leaning into traditional media. Only because I'm just a lot more comfortable that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not, my mind doesn't go here necessarily, but I'm not going to lie. Like I have pages that can be sold afterwards.
Sure.
Right.
Definitely,
Sure.
that's part of it too.
So, since we're kind of talking about IDW and the other pitches, with the success of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, it's really been sold out. You can't get one if you don't have it on your pull. Do you think, with whatever you're able to say, any of those other pitches you did or any other ideas you have may come to fruition with IDW because of the success of Beneath the Trees? Freudian slip, I guess.
Jeez.
No, but
Wow.
with the success of Beneath the Trees, do you think?
Wow.
Mr. Horvath, we're sorry.
That was
So
that
sorry,
was-
sir.
Forgive us.
Sorry,
That was
sorry.
amazing. That was amazing.
I was thinking about Samantha. Sorry.
Sure, you were.
Oh, God. Oh,
Okay.
Paul just made my night.
It's
Yeah.
hot in here now. Jeez.
I'm gonna take my jacket
Can
off.
you ask that question again
So
without
what did you?
the sex?
Yeah, what did you really mean to say?
So, do you think the publishers at IDW are gonna let you have sex? No, I'm just kidding.
Shane's not even drunk yet.
He hasn't had a truly yet either. That's,
This is why I don't drink, for the record.
Literally the one that's not drinking.
Shane's got to catch up to me, and I'm sober.
Lord.
so what Paul meant to ask
Yes,
you
thank you,
was-
Marcus.
was
Take it away.
Yes, please, Marcus,
was
save
that
us.
with the success of this series, do you find yourself, being in a ideal position for all of your other pitches that you, pitched to IDW? You think they're actually going to come to fruition?
Thank you.
Perhaps they are going to extend your series, with this current title. What are your what's the feedback you're getting from IDW?
So far, like nothing's certain at all, but I definitely, I mean, like, yeah, it's looking like it's very possible I can do more.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have, I mean, I definitely have more. Like I mentioned, I had those other pitches, as well as new ones, and
Great.
And I'm very, excited to see if I can get another book going as well.
Okay.
It's yeah, I definitely want to do a lot more. So
Good.
Sounds about right.
I'm glad your career isn't over yet. That's
right.
good. Yeah.
I'll definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting too because I've got a background in filmmaking.
Okay.
And and like a lot, I mean, like that's part of the reason why I'm sort of an unknown, because I've had, I spent the last like 17-ish years just working a lot, mostly in movies.
Okay.
Like independent horror stuff.
Wow. Okay.
And like writing, directing, little things, and I feel like it's still something that's a big part of me as well. But it's also, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm like in my 40s now, and I'm having a lot of fun doing comics too. So
Great.
That's right.
Yeah, it's 40s. You're in your 40s.
And you know what? You're in good company because I mean, hey, Kevin Smith. I mean,
Yeah.
his Guardian Devil. He took Daredevil to a whole new level and ushered Daredevil into a whole new. As our last guest from last week called it the murderer's row, where it was just Kevin Smith and then Bendis and Brubaker and just Frank, all that great, noir Daredevil. He kind of elevated it. You have Gary Whitta, who's also been doing stuff with like for example, Batman Fortress. He did that one. Jeff Johns, he has a background in film as well. He has a film writing degree from Michigan, somewhere in Michigan. So you're in good company. I mean, my goodness.
You got the stuff, no doubt about that.
Yeah, and
well,
I
I
mean,
appreciate hearing that.
and I definitely will say that at least in this city, in the Las Vegas area, your stuff is sold out. So I think we're in maybe the third printing of your number one.
Yeah.
So-
Third printing comes out next week, very soon.
Yeah. So I mean that
yeah.
if that doesn't tell
And
IDW
that'll go
something,
quick too. Yeah.
Yes.
Already
So,
got it reserved.
so everyone's jumping on, and you're kind of, and with all the new with all the horror stuff that's going on. I mean, because honestly, the comic book industry right now is kind of saturated right now with just horror stuff. Everyone's doing it, and
Sure.
the big two, you got the big two jumping into it as well. So for the fact that yours is standing out amongst it, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it really
pretty
is.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Like I've been blown away by the reception of this thing
Mm-hmm.
for, I mean, like a lot of those reasons.
Right. Right.
I just wasn't expecting folks to really be into it. I kind of feel like it was because I mean, like as you guys all know, this is an awesome time for comics.
It is.
There's
It is.
just like an incredible amount of comics. Like it blows my mind how many awesome comics are out
Yeah.
from excellent creators, like awesome creators. So I mean,
Right.
it's I had no expectations whatsoever for this thing to catch a wave like it has.
Right.
And I'm incredibly grateful for it. And I wouldn't expect it to like be duplicated necessarily from like the next book or whatever. Because I mean, who knows? You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
it is. I'm riding it as long as I can. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Ride the
like,
wave.
yeah. I'm incredibly grateful, and I do. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I've definitely got more ideas, and it basically, I have to finish this one.
Of course.
Right.
Right.
Oh yeah, you do. I forgot about that.
One step at a time.
One foot in front of the other.
Finish the one book before I can move on.
Start 3 more.
Right. So, but that's going to happen pretty soon, and then hopefully they're into the stuff that I pitch, and we can kind of go from there.
Well, I have a question about that.
Hmm?
So you have.
Go ahead, Shane.
I have a question,
Shane with a question.
and it's a pretty good one. I must say. If you'll give me
He's
a
too
moment.
deep. He's too deep.
Oh.
I drank both of those already.
Now, you got one right there. What are you talking
okay.
about?
I got a question. So if so you had a background in horror, and if somebody wants to, if they want you to keep this going, and they want you to do like a live action thing where there's like puppets, or you do like a cartoon of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, would you be up for that? Would you be up for doing something like that? Would you rather animation, or would you rather like could you imagine a live puppet like thing going
Oh
on
my
here? Where
gosh.
it's like
Definitely
That would
cocaine
be
there,
very
Voss.
expensive.
Of course.
so.
Like,
Have you seen? Have any of you guys seen? Hug Me, I'm Scared on YouTube.
No.
It's like a weird kind of creepy. You guys should look it up. And I think Patrick, I think you would dig it a lot.
I think my
It's
son
like
turned me on to
puppets,
that.
and it gets real. It seems like almost like Sesame Street at first,
Right.
but it gets really weird and,
dark
grotesque and,
yeah.
murderous. And they're about, I want to say 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes on. They might even be shorter on YouTube. And I imagine this comic as
that kind of style
would be
interesting.
incredible. Yeah, I think you guys should look it up.
Would
It's-
you?
I should look it up.
Yeah, would you be into that? Because you're clearly not only a creative dude.
The budget's as big as you want it.
Yeah, budget's out of water.
Budget's big as you want it. You'd be down for that, right?
Shane approved your budget just now.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's,
I've greenlit it. You're good.
he's gonna he's gonna bankroll it too.
Oh yeah, I got all this money. Clearly, you can
you, Shane, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like, listen, I'm not gonna, if you want to turn this thing to a movie or a series or something, yes, like, let's do that. I feel like, I'm not, like, in my background, like, if somebody was like, would you want to make that? And I was like, I don't think I would want to make it, like, as a movie.
Right.
I wouldn't. I would love to be like a supervising producerial role or something.
Right.
Just to be able to keep some sort of hands on it, to be like, this is kind of getting weird. This is what I meant, or whatever. So I would want to do that for sure. But I mean, like, I would totally welcome it being turned into something beyond that for sure. And I feel like it definitely wasn't designed the comic's the comic. And it has moments in it that are very comic specific that, I don't know if those would translate, but I feel like, conceptually, like there's a lot a lot you could do with this. And I think it would be fun. I'm all for it.
Yeah, you're like, oh, hold on, guys, it's getting kind of weird. You got the bears over here when they should be over here. And you got Samantha. No, Samantha needs to be over here. You need to have that over here.
Exactly.
Why Bill Cosby?
Why Bill Cosby?
Is that Cosby?
Yeah, why Bill Cosby, man?
No, that was Shane.
Oh, that was me.
That was a Shane impersonation.
That was a Shane
Pretty good.
impersonation?
I must admit that sounded exactly.
Yeah, it was so
like
good. Everyone thought it was Shane.
No, that was Bill Cosby.
Sometimes I sound
Okay, it
like
was Cosby.
All right.
But anyway,
What were we talking about?
it's down.
As far as the inspiration, though, and like you've seen this whole thing with the genre with horror comics and this really fine line, Patrick, of the content being cute, and then all of a sudden you're scaring the crap out of us.
Yes.
You did a very good job with that, and also like with the series, like we don't know what Farrell's going to be like from what Trish Forster and Tony Fleeks were able to do with Stray Dogs.
Yeah.
There's seems to be so much room for this type of specific genre to where you don't have to necessarily go full horror. You can balance it between enough elements of, oh, it's cute or whatever. It's like, oh, the bear's gonna kill me. The kind of thing.
And he does it perfectly.
it's very well done.
The turtle is adorable. Like,
thank you.
Like everything that is cute is absolutely amazingly adorable and cute.
And then
you have her who is this dark character. And
my gosh.
And they are written perfectly to a T, to where you understand her mindset and all the other characters' mindset, where they're just hunky-dory and their kids are being taken to school and this and that, and they're having a parade. And then next thing you know, a goat is tied up to a mast of a float, and he's cut open.
Yeah, you strike the balance really well.
And it's pretty weird. I mean, it's weird.
Like in any small town.
Yeah.
Just like in any small town.
Well, I mean, yeah.
He's awesome.
I think it honestly is like any small town in terms of that. It's very much like the Blue Velvet approach of having like
Blue Velvet.
Not
a
Blue
very
Velvet.
cute, wholesome surface, and under the surface, it's really messed up.
Oh, yeah.
but I appreciate all that, and I definitely that was it was, striking that balance was definitely a very important thing. This thing would not have worked without it.
Right.
And I feel like I kind of lucked out in figuring out what the tone would be early on. And I had like 4 main stars of the constellation I was following. Like it had to be fun. And then it also had to be disturbing. And it had to be cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then it
Yeah,
also
for
had
sure.
to be very upsetting and sad.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
so like sad, cute, fun, and upsetting. So
Check every box.
Lots of
Yeah.
lots of
So,
contrast.
yeah, anytime I was getting too far in one direction, I would just kind of step back and be like, well, maybe this
Yep.
this needs to be like something else, or this kind of feels like a little too cute. Maybe we need to dial it back. But I noticed that for any of the really kind of gnarly stuff, I wanted it to be real grounded in terms of like the violence, because I didn't want that to be fun in a weird way.
Right.
Like I didn't want to like make it be like, this is so cool that I'm like, whatever, you know what I
Right,
mean?
you
Like,
wanted it
there's
to be
something
upsetting.
about like if there's, and it gets like pretty dark. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna get dark, you guys. So, like,
Darker.
Has it already? Oh, heard.
gonna get darker. And it was definitely like, it felt like, because it was so cute and because it was fun, you could if you grounded it, then it just kind of made that stuff work really well.
Yeah.
It made it sit kind of in the mix, you know what I mean, in terms of the ingredients. So I felt like it also did a really great thing of highlighting just like making the horrific parts land a lot more strongly than even in like a horror movie. Like of your regular going to the theater horror movie.
Yeah.
Only because it made it, I think when you're like dismembering these cute animals or whatever, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, this doesn't feel right. Like, it is wrong. It is wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
It shouldn't be right.
It's a little wrong.
Yeah.
So
wrong.
it definitely was, it's been a fun sort of process of figuring all that out, but I feel like that weird juxtaposition and especially with Tony Fleece as well, like his work, it's the same thing. Like it does something kind of fun and interesting.
Most definitely. And I think for me, a comparison to another creator that's like that, which might seem weird at first, is Mark Russell. The way Mark Russell can write something that is incredibly fun and then have you in tears like the next
Get
second,
real
and then
serious.
back to having fun, and it all flows so well.
Right.
And I think that's what works so well about this book is it's not all murder all the time. When something happens, it's upsetting. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
scary. Like when I can't remember her name, the pig in the second issue.
Oh.
That had me like, I'm reading it in my room and I'm like looking around.
Yo.
Is it cherry? Is it
Because
cherry?
it's-
Cherry.
Yeah, cherry gherkins.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. And it's all like it's all almost Desperate Housewives, like the drama in the neighborhood, and then it turns into Halloween for a second where she's
Yeah,
losing her
man.
fingers. And I think you do a really good job of striking the balance of fun, and so that when it is scary, it is, or when it does hit hard,
It
like
means-
with the widow in the last issue.
Bro.
That was sad. I was
Yeah.
like, oh man,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like that
It's really,
sucked.
I was really interested to see how issue 3 is going to be received. And I mean, it seems like so far so good. But it's also the first time where we kind of have like an even deeper tone shift than we've seen with like between 1 and 2, right?
Mhm.
And so like I from the outset wanted to have each of these 6 issues to have their own flavor. And to feel, like they deserve to be their own separate issues instead of just like cut up parts of a graphic novel. You know what I mean? Like I wanted them to feel separate. And so when we get to 3, it was really important to me to have, that, its vibe be that it's very much about grieving and loss, and how Sam kind of stands in stark contrast to that, because she can't really, I mean, I kind of, in my mind, it's like she doesn't have that emotion.
Right.
She understands it as much as she can, right? But like, I don't think that, I mean, she kind of gets into that in her monologue, but it's not, she doesn't feel that.
She's
You
got
know
her
what I mean?
empathy, not her sympathy.
Ah,
Yeah, and it's
nice.
very much like not it's something that, because it's so strange to her, felt like something that I really wanted to lean in to in the story, and also just to have it showing up in the town and how bothered everybody is, but then also just have this case where somebody's been dealing with loss even longer with her husband, in the weird way that she's processing it, be the strange thing that Sam kind of clocks in on, and she clocks in on it because it's strange, but she doesn't really, I mean, it's not exactly what she's trying to find. But yeah, and then to end up at Martin's funeral at the end too felt like a very interesting thing to have in a community. To be able to also just worked really well with the community too, and showing them, we're going through the whole process of them having seen them interact with the living, and then he dies, and then we have them processing his death. Just kind of felt like something interesting that I hadn't seen in a lot of comics just recently, and so it was, it's been a fun trip. And the others are definitely going to be their own thing. I'm very excited for everybody to read the other ones. It continues it for sure in terms of, changing it up a little bit each time.
I think you could really, just with this story alone and the vibe of this story, I think you could turn on a lot of people to comics in general, just because of this kind of story. People dig this type of thing just normally, just in TV shows and stuff like that. I think this thing is
It's
just
a wonderful
amazing.
change of pace.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
is a
It's
great change
so
of pace. It
well
really
put
is.
together. I
No,
love
thank
it.
you guys so much.
Love it.
I think too how she switches roles. Like she's kind of investigating. She's like being like a PI or something, checking out Melody's house and everything, and then finding the stuff. The character's name is, I think her husband's name is Frank. It's like she finds Frank's stuff in the bed. Patrick, are there any taxidermists in Woodbrook? Is that an occupation that anybody has in that sleepy little?
I mean, yes,
Okay,
but I haven't seen them yet.
hey, all right.
Oh, they're there. They're there.
Too funny. So, what sort of other creators have inspired you in terms of this? What got you started on this path? I guess you could say, was it some of your contemporaries, like James Tynan, who's doing a lot of horror stuff, or was it someone much earlier than that? What was your kind of like early inspiration for getting into this whole racket?
I mean, like, I came of age when I was basically in my teens, right when the speculator boom was happening. And so that was like, as soon as Image was starting up, and that was like the time before, like right around before that, I had friends who were into Marvel and DC, and I wasn't. It just wasn't on my radar. It wasn't a thing where I had an easy access to anything, or like even like had a regular spot where I could find a spinner rack that I could, find stuff on.
Right.
So it wasn't until, honestly, like, right around when Image hit, and then I started getting into comics. And at that time, I rode that wave and for like maybe like 5-6 years, and then just kind of stopped. It wasn't, for whatever reason, it just wasn't working for me anymore. Like, it wasn't that it wasn't working, I guess. It just like life happened, I guess.
Right.
I finished up high school. I ended up doing college. And at that time too, I just didn't have money I could spend on anything.
Right.
And so I had this huge blank spot until like, for like maybe like a decade.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because it's interesting too, because I didn't draw for like, I drew ever since I was maybe like 4 or 5 until maybe around like I was 18, and then I stopped. And it was mostly like because for whatever reason, I was like, I want to make movies. If you're going to make movies, like, you better really want to make movies.
Right.
And so I basically just didn't want to focus on anything except for that.
Right.
For a long time. And so it wasn't until like until about 30. When I turned 30, I started drawing again. I finished another little movie that I co-directed with a friend of mine, and it was like finished. You're trying to find a place for it. Like you're trying to get into festivals to see if people will watch it and then get interested in possibly buying it and distribute it, etc.
Right.
And it's such a long process. It's just long to make the movie.
Right.
And then once you made the movie, it's a process of getting it sold.
Yeah.
So like it's like
imagine.
such a thing. And
Yeah, labor of love.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is sort of common, but I definitely had like post-project depression.
Oh,
You're like, I did the thing, we made it, and now what?
Yeah.
You know what
right.
I mean? And like, we got to do it again. Like, what else are we gonna do? That took a lot of energy and money when I did that. And I'm kinda tired.
Yeah.
I think it turned out pretty good, but I don't know. And again, you know, with a lot of artists, I mean, it seems to me anyway, I'm definitely this way. Like, I'll make something, and this comic included, and I'll I'll be like, is this good? I don't know. Like, it's like, like, it's not immediate apparent to me. I think it's cool, but a lot of the stuff that I like never made money when it came out.
Right.
It's like movie wise, sure. Like most of the movies that I love are like flops. And so I'm like, what does that mean?
That's say about me.
So yeah, exactly. So my taste is obviously not very commercial.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite movie that came out that didn't make any
what's
money?
that? Yeah, what's
Oh,
that
it's
inspiration?
give me an example.
I'm
It's a
interested.
big horror movie that came out and just flopped. The Thing is incredible. And now everybody loves The Thing. But when it came out, everybody was like, this is an ET. What the hell is that?
No, that's true.
And so it's just like, and I mean, like, could you imagine making The Thing and The Thing comes out and everybody sees it and they go like, I don't know, it's okay.
Like, it was
You're
awesome.
like, this is the best they can do. And what?
Yeah.
That's
So
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's definitely a labor of love. Anytime you're in any sort of creative field, whether it be music, art, film, TV, you have to make it for you. And
pray
then
people come along.
and then just hope for the best, that people will dig it and latch onto it. Definitely.
I completely agree with that. And this is a total example of that. Like, this comic is very much an example of just like, I had a weird idea.
Mhm.
It happened to line up with, you know, being able to like sell it.
The universe.
Yeah. But to continue the point I was making, I feel like after projects like that and stuff, with film, it just took so long
Mhm.
that when I finally had a chance to, you know, look around and start doing something else, I was just like, I don't know, I'm kind of like exhausted, but I'm also kind of depressed that we're not doing the thing anymore.
Yeah.
And so like, and then I was like, oh yeah, I like drawing. I forgot that I like drawing. And so, and I started dabbling with watercolors and yeah, like that was about like 13 years ago. And then I was just kind of, and it was not good looking, but it was fun. And I could come up with an idea and create it and be done with it in like an hour or two.
Right.
And I was like, I love that. That's great. And so and it was really feeding some part of my brain that was very hungry. And so I just kind of would do that. And I would just at least every morning would be drawing.
That's awesome.
And for like a couple hours, like every day, just day in and day out for years. And just, you know, whatever. And I would draw more, obviously, you know, when I could and whatever. But that was kind of the impetus for the whole thing. And shortly into that, I was like, you know, maybe like a couple of years into it, I was like, I should think about maybe doing a comic. Obviously, that's a thing to do. And the thing that's awesome about comics is that you can very much like, you know, even if IDW didn't pick this up, I could still make this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And put it out. And it's easier now than ever to put it out, you know, on your own, it feels like.
Yes.
Just even digitally.
Absolutely. 100%.
So it just felt like such a awesome thing to do regardless that I just kind of kept pursuing it. And I'm glad I did, but I mean, that's basically how I got into it. So a lot of the creators and stuff that inspired me was definitely like those early image creators. And I mean, like Todd McFarlane for sure, which is funny because that comes like totally full circle because he's like such a funny, like business guru comics guy now. Like I absolutely love seeing every interview that he has because it's a lot of his stuff at this point. Like I feel like I was like, yes, I've heard this before, Uncle Todd. But then like he'll like go on these like digressions, and the digressions now are like the nuggets of gold that I love from his interviews, where he's just like expounding upon somehow somebody let him get off topic, and now he's just like talking about like religion or something like that, capitalism and stuff. It's just like totally like yes. Anyway, so But him for sure. But then when I got older, that was like, so now I'm like out of college and I'm starting to get back into comics. And at that point, I totally owe it to all my friends who like started just putting really good books in my hands.
Good.
And be like, here's
Yeah.
like, Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing, and you should
Oh,
know this.
absolutely.
Like just stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and also just like a lot of the other, I read Mouse and I read,
Okay.
like here's Black Hole
Fantastic.
from Charles Burns, and here's Chris Ware. Do you know Chris Ware? And I was like, I don't. And like it was just like a lot of interesting stuff, and it's funny because it wasn't a lot of like the big two at all.
Okay.
Awesome.
But it was like writers and artists working on the big two that brought me back into that stuff. And then you would read like Frank Miller's run on like Daredevil and stuff like that.
Right.
And then, and you get into Mazzucchelli stuff. And I was just like, well, this is incredible too. But then also very much into manga and very much into like the, European stuff. I mean, specifically like Belgian and French BD stuff. And, even like right now, like I'm really into like Manuele Fior. I don't know if you're familiar with that dude's work.
No.
He's an Italian cartoonist working out of France. He's got a new book Fantagraphics is putting out. And anyway, he works in gouache. And I'm very much like anybody who works in gouache now. I'm like, oh, who else is like doing this stuff? But and again, I got really into like clean line work, like Mobius.
Okay.
So he was
Yeah.
a huge inspiration for
The
sure.
Jodorowsky universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Cal.
also, and then I kind of like, I was like, I love the clean line look a lot.
Mhm.
But then I started getting into brushwork, and I was like, it's really like, I feel like if I got into brushwork, it brings this certain emotional quality to the line work that I'm missing with like, if I'm using like fine liners and stuff. So then I started learning how to just brush and do line work that way. And then I got really into like Alberto Brescia, who did like Mort Cinder, who, if you haven't read the Mort Cinder, like check it out. It's incredible. And then also like Jorge Zafino. I don't know if you're familiar with that dude. I think he was Argentinian, I think. And he did a lot of like big two stuff, but his work is just like it's like so expressive. And so then I started like going the other way, right, and getting like into really expressive stuff.
Frank's taking notes.
It was just like off the charts for me. And because I feel like I'm always like holding myself back too much when I'm doing my work, and I want to get into, I mean, you look at again like painterly stuff, like Martin Simmons' run on like anything recently.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Department of Truth, and especially like Dracu's run on Dracula just
Dracula
came out.
was
Like that's
incredible.
It
Incredible.
off the charts awesome. Like his stuff is so cool and expressive and fun. And I feel like it's such a fun element amongst all the, and I do love other styles as well. But it's fun to see not everything be a very similar sort of house style.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Riccardo Federici's super dope. All of his stuff is super awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So do you is it which comes first for you? Draw or writing? Like what do you
Drawing
Drawings
for
first?
sure.
Okay.
Only because I don't need to know anything else. I can literally just draw and make shapes, and then the shapes kind of inform the next shape to make. And I can just sit there and doodle forever.
Okay.
And strangely enough, like that's how, well, with this case with Beneath the Trees, very much how it came out.
Okay.
Came about was literally just drawing something, and then all of a sudden I was looking at like a bear person with a bloody axe. Like,
Whoa.
it's
Yeah.
funny because it's almost like when you're like making cloud shapes with, when you're sitting with somebody, you're like, that looks like a dragon, and like that one, whatever. And it's I'll just like sort of start making stuff and be like, that kind of looks like it could be that, and whatever. And then kind of work the image until it turns into something that I didn't realize I was going to draw like a couple minutes before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely comes first for me.
Yeah, that was definitely something that I always wanted to ask a writer/artist. What, because it's like with music too. When you're writing a song, sometimes you might start with the melody first, or you might start with a really catchy guitar riff or a drum beat, what have you. And so, like, what was your process with that, with Beneath the Trees? Was it like was it the writing first, or was it the art first? And
That's a good question.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome insight into that.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because I feel like the inspiration definitely comes visually for me. Just the immediate, like whatever this is going to be,
Right.
Usually, but I mean, there's other times too where I just have like a funny idea that I just can't get out of my head. And then it's very much like the writerly angle.
Right.
But with like Beneath the Trees too, like I mentioned, it was that little doodle thing, and it kind of like real broadly sketched out every, the large elements of like what the story would be. But I very much like when I create, I can't just like find the story like as I'm putting it together. Like, and bless their hearts for people that can do it, because there are artists like cartoonists that are like, I just kind of, I go where the story tells me to go.
Right.
And
Right.
like I can't do that in like a timely manner.
Right.
So like,
Right.
I end up having to. I very much like outlined the living hell out of this.
Yeah.
And that was very much informed by just screenwriting, because I've been, writing movies since like 2003-ish or something. I wasn't writing them good at all.
You're doing it though.
But I'm like,
Yes.
just doing it.
Yes.
And like when you do it enough, you just start developing like your different ways of going about it. And the thing I've sort of landed on is that I just have to outline the hell out of something,
Right.
just to know where I'm going.
Right.
And it makes the whole process so much easier for me, because I hate sitting there being like, and then what happened? I don't know. Then what happens? And like whenever that kind of get lost, I feel like it starts to, I don't know. I mean, because this came literally out of me having written I've written whole screenplays where I like finished. I was like, there it is. I don't know.
And then it goes and it blows up, and you're like, oh my god.
I love that, because I totally identify with it, because I got a degree in film from UNLV, and I did some screenwriting and some editing and stuff. And editing ended up being something that I fell into a little better because I didn't have to think as hard about it. But I 100% agree with you on the outline thing. Right, I don't know how people do it without this. Like writing without an outline, you get to a point and you're like, all right, well, what happens next?
Yeah, like, what's
and then like it almost like zaps you of your like energy. You're like, well, I don't even know what's happening now. Like, what? I don't even want to write it anymore. I don't know what's going on.
You wrote a whole. Well, like, what were you writing?
I have a few. I can show.
Oh, really?
They're
hey,
not
girl.
good. They're terrible.
But you did it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Flash
But
us
no,
a page or
I
two.
just like I totally understand that you need a framework, especially like
I
with
do, yeah.
characters. Patrick talking about the kind of Bible for Samantha and how she acts and how she thinks. That goes such a long way for knowing what a character will say in a conversation.
Right.
Like, because that's some of the things that comes down to being the most difficult. And that's something that always got me caught up. I was like, I don't know enough about my character to know what they're going to say next. And that's why things like the Bible and Patrick's process is like incredible, and you see it on the page.
Yeah.
Did it change at all when you were mapping that out? Like when you're doing your outline for the first issue? Because you're saying right now, like you're kind of wrapping up everything what's going to be going into issue 6. Everything is that's going to be pertaining to issue 6. Did the process kind of change as far as how you're going to be laying out these issues? I mean, we're halfway through the series, and you have all of our hearts collectively in our throats. I mean, going into these next 3 issues, did it kind of change story wise a little bit, or has you always been kind of like this is it? This is kind of what I have in mind. I'm not switching things a little at all.
Well, it's pretty much how I had it from the big outline that I sent in the pitch.
Okay.
The only thing that was different, and this was totally awesome of IDW, is that my editor, who's Maggie Howell, was like, hey, listen, this is great, but I feel like we want to give it, initially it was like 5 issues. I pitched it as 5 issues.
Okay.
And then they basically were like, we love this, but we want to give it a little more room to breathe. So we're going to turn it into 6.
Okay.
And at that point, I kind of had to move stuff around and tweak stuff to make it make sense. You know what I mean? Because I very much had very specific chapter breaks in it.
Okay. Yeah. Pacing.
And so, so that kind of became a concern. And then, but then it honestly felt very natural once I kind of put it all into place.
Okay.
And it very much gave me issue 3. So like issue 3 would not have existed. It would have basically like story-wise the stuff in issue 3 would have been shrunk, which would have sucked. But now that I really.
room to flesh it
This is
out.
why it's awesome to have great editors.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they can look
absolutely.
at your work and be like, okay. Which P.S. like my editorial team is awesome.
Great.
And it's the first time. I mean, it's like again, it's like pretty much my first book I've done. But it's also I know that it's not necessarily the case that cartoonists do get to work with editors, and I very much appreciate that. I do, because it's been incredible. You know, for example, this like just that note of like we really want to turn this into 6 issues, and all the other stuff that she'll highlight and sort of thing. Like, I feel like this is a thread we need to sort of bring out a little more, et cetera. Or like this is kind of this is an interesting thing that you brought up here. Is there any way we could have it echo at another point? Stuff like that. Really developed, throughout the process of like having gone through all the different issues and writing them. But by and large, it was pretty much like I was just looking over the initial pitch document that I'd sent, and it was just like 3 paragraphs, which are basically like I kind of broke down the story into 3 acts. And so, and it's funny because it is pretty much exactly what I pitched. Like it didn't really change.
Great.
And so it was kind of funny to see that, because it's not usually like that, I feel like. But yeah, it's been funny, an interesting process.
That's cool.
Well, I think that's something we were all kind of wondering about, and you kind of answered it for us. How IDW was in working with you in this, and it sounds like they said, "We love your vision. We want you to even add to it.
Yeah.
But that's all you. We trust
do
you,
your
and
thing.
that has to be a good feeling."
Oh, it's incredible. It's funny because the whole process, the fact that people are into it, like all this stuff, I just feel incredibly lucky. All of it. But just even like getting on their radar, and Mark Doyle saw my art and liked it, and then wanted to talk, and then knew that I also wrote and directed stuff, and so knew that I wrote. And so when, IDW brought him on, and then I spoke with him, and Paul, and this is like for movie worlds colliding, because Paul Davidson, it was with IDW at the time. Paul Davidson was part of the Orchard, which is a distribution company that put out one of the last movies I've worked on called Southbound, which is like a horror anthology film.
Okay.
And then so it just so happened, it was like so many random things that kind of connected up.
Kind of connected, yeah.
That like Paul Davidson was kind of like, oh, here's this guy. Like Paul had looked at my stuff as well, and we'd also tried to put together a graphic novel that didn't work out, but bless his heart, he was showing my stuff over there and was like, he's like, oh yeah, check out his Instagram
That's
feed.
rad.
And so, and then based off that, Mark Doyle wanted to just talk, and so we did. And he's like, give us some pitches, and if we're into them, maybe we'll talk more. And that's literally like how that all kind of happened. So that was just like incredibly lucky. And then I feel like the luck of just catching this wave has been like, kind of nuts. But it's,
it's really
yeah.
cool.
But it's so well written and so well done that there's no way this could lose. It really is just a beautiful piece of artwork.
Thank you so
All
much.
of
I
it.
really appreciate
The
that.
whole thing's great. So far, so great, huh?
So far,
Sonny?
so great. It's
Sonny,
so
what
great.
What do you think?
It's so
You think
great.
it's so far, so great, huh?
I like that you're giving all this information, and I kind of want to know, like, is there any little tidbits
Ooh.
of something that you could say?
Just a little.
Just like a
little
little
teaser.
teaser of something for.
Little gleam, a little
I mean,
glistening.
like, I'll say this about like issue 4, like the lid's going to get blown off in issue 4. So
Bust
yeah.
the lid off.
Wow.
Okay, I like that.
It's going to get kind of nuts. There's definitely a gear shift in issue 4,
Okay.
which
Nice.
again, like
Beautiful.
I've given them their own little personalities for each
No, yeah.
issue.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
So that
Issue 4 is like a bit of an atomic bomb.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
So,
what I'm
that's my
looking for.
tidbit. for the day.
Nice.
That's that information.
that makes me want to ask the one question I have, and spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read the third
No.
one. I'm giving you
Close your ears.
Close your ears.
10 seconds. Spoilers.
Close your
10
ears.
second spoiler alert.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we good?
9,
All right.
11,
Seven,
So at the
11,
end-
13.
5.
At the end of issue 3, and for me personally, I just want to, is that Nigel who sneezes and looks over?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. So we're talking best friends, husbands,
Yeah.
your foil. Okay. All right.
Well, I'll be
I
Son.
can't wait
It's
for
it's-
issue 4.
He's the son.
Oh, it's his son. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought it was the husband. It's been a while since I read issue 1, but still.
Oh yeah, which is totally great because like issue 1 came out like last year.
Yeah, no,
Right,
literally.
like
It's been like so
Literally.
long in between issues.
But family,
but
family.
But yeah. That's Lola and Nigel at the
Yes.
funeral. That's definitely Nigel sneezing.
Mm.
nice.
I can't wait for issue 4.
Were all these pitches, I mean, this is like random. Were all these pitches that you had, the 3 that they were like, nah, we like Beneath the Trees more? Were these other pitches like, they're all horror based, I'm assuming? All of these stories were horror based or not necessarily?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay.
It's like going over my mind again. Yeah, I mean, like it's different flavors, but yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Like a raccoon that cooks meth or something.
Yeah,
Great.
it's literally, but it's like not even anthropomorphic raccoon. It's literally just a raccoon.
Just an actual raccoon.
Meth.
It's a raccoon.
And
We're
turns
just in
out to make,
Arkansas.
like, the best meth
Yeah.
in the trailer park.
Yeah. Yep.
He falls butt backwards.
And then the cops can't catch him because they keep chasing him into the woods.
He scurries
I think
into
he's
the
gonna be
woods.
like, I also haven't seen Breaking Bad.
Never saw it.
Oh, that's incredible.
I'm like, take it. No.
I don't know. Never heard of it.
Yes.
So, is there any sort of look to collecting these 6 issues down the road? You know, in a trade paperback for those who
for
maybe
sure.
who couldn't secure all the floppies and want to read it all
It's
in one.
definitely, it's coming out. I believe it's coming out in September.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
And yeah, I'm
Yes,
very
Shane, I'll
excited
buy
for
one
that.
for you.
This. Thank you, Frank. This is absolutely just a gorgeous thing.
That
I
is
was
beautiful.
looking at that
This
cover.
is beautiful.
And
Yeah, Riley Rossmo's like knocked it out.
Riley
of the park.
Rossmo
This is
is
amazing.
fantastic.
Was which P.S. Like, can we just like talk, I don't know if you've read his Wesley Dodd's run for the Sandman that Riley's been drawing.
Oh,
Riley's art on Wesley Dodd's Sandman is incredible.
okay.
He sent a early copy of issue 1 to me because I hadn't had the chance to meet him until we started working on. He does all the variants for Beneath the Trees, which is like so cool of him. And it was the first chance I got to talk to him.
Nice.
Was working on this, and then in the course of that, he sent me the issue 1 for his Wesley Dodd Sandman. And it was like, he sent it to me and he was just like, I think I knocked this out of the park. And I was like, okay.
I think I killed this a little
It
bit.
was like, I think this might be like one of the best things I've ever done. And I'm just like, I'm like, anytime an artist, because like I said, like a lot of artists are kind of like, I don't know, is this good? I don't know. And so anytime somebody's like,
He's
got a
like,
little
okay.
swagger and hands you the thing and goes like, this is about as good as I can do it.
Riley Rossmo is an artist that more people need to be talking about.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's incredible art. Incredible.
Yeah, it is so great. And his run on the Sandman is so fun. But yes, so it was like total, luck that it's like, again, I've been so lucky
Right.
Yeah.
with this thing.
That's how it
Like, got an
goes.
awesome
No,
editing staff. IDW has been incredible. And then Riley jumped on to do all the variants. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Okay. And then also on top of that too, like I feel like the oh god, what was I gonna I just totally lost my train of thought. You guys.
It's okay.
You're all
It had to do
excited.
with Riley.
Yeah, you're like all stoked. Like,
Yeah.
Basically, let's just go back to Riley being really good because he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That honestly could be a
I know what I
great.
was gonna say. Having Hassan Otsman-Elhaou do all the
Oh, I
lettering.
was going to ask you about him.
That dude is a powerhouse, and I've been watching his stuff ever since he was doing strip panel naked stuff on YouTube.
Nice.
And it was like,
Naked.
again, like that was like him putting, because my big weak spot is like
Naked.
Big Two stuff, and then he was like, well, here's like Somni's Black Widow run that you should be reading. Here's why, and then his breakdown of like why you should read it was so well done.
That's cool.
And like infectious in its enthusiasm, you know what I mean? And I love anytime it doesn't. I mean, like, yes, comics, but also just anything. If somebody can just tell me why I need to check something out,
Yeah.
and just like tell me with that sort of passion that I feel that and need to do it, like I love that. And his work on like strip panel naked and also panel by panel,
Naked.
like that stuff is so great and important for comics. Like I love it. And so he was on my radar for a long time. And it was one of my top choices for lettering. And again, like what have I done? I haven't done anything. And so like when I was like, they were like, do you want a letter? And I was like, I mean, like, here's my top choices.
See what happens.
Yeah, definitely that cover that Shane was showing, that definitely looks like it
Amazing.
would be a great cover for like a hardcover or a trade paperback.
Hell yeah.
That would be a, yeah.
I have one tattoo, maybe one. I would get this tattooed.
That's yeah, it's really
Maybe
cool.
one. Yeah.
No, I have one
tattoo.
tattoo. I
Yeah.
just have
All
one.
over my body.
I would get this tattoo. I really would. It's
So-
rad.
One never-ending kick.
Yeah.
It's
the
so
whole
good.
thing. It's
You
the-
keep mentioning that you never really created a comic before this one. This was your first big foray into it. What was it like learning or
Foray.
yeah, I know I tried.
Nice.
Trying
Good
to
word.
figure out what the right panel layout was and how much did Ostamain work with you on that and your editors as far as breaking down panels? Did that come naturally to you or did you need to kind of work back and forth with them to go, okay, this is here, the letters go here, so on and so forth?
Pacing and setup and
Yeah.
stuff.
I actually just did all the layouts, and it came pretty naturally. I haven't really had any, and I didn't get any kickback for anything I've done. And it's not. I feel like I mean, it was very important to me to have a really solid flow for the reader throughout, and so that it read as smooth as possible and as fast as possible. I mean, I'm definitely not. Like, I'm of a mind where, like, if it's a well-constructed comic, you're going to go through it in, like, maybe, like, 15 minutes or something.
Oh, without a doubt.
And you're like, and I don't want it to be hiccups. I would love for them to, like, enjoy, like, the hard work that's been put on.
Yeah, right.
And it
Get it
is a
15
bit of
minutes.
work. But, I mean, at the same time, I also kind of feel like if it's a fun read-through, then maybe you'll get a repeat read-through.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And,
exactly.
yeah, and then it's kind of a fun thing to kind of revisit. And I very much, I think I gave that a lot of care and attention from the outset, and I feel like pretty good about it. And I mean, I was also very much leaning on my editors or whoever to just kind of point out anything that could be better, et cetera. But I mean, so far, like, that stuff has all been great. It's been really well received. And then, but I'm also including, like, all my dialogue bubbles and stuff in my layouts.
Okay.
Just like I'm very much making room for everything because it's all gonna play a part visually. It's all part of the design.
That's cool.
But the thing that's fun though, working with Hassan, is like he'll throw in stuff that that wasn't necessarily, it's not in the dialogue, right? But it'll be like these little moments, like in or he'll do interesting stuff with the dialogue and kind of split it up in interesting ways that really accentuate the design in a favorable way, which is awesome. But like in issue 2 with Cherry, like there's these moments where Cherry's like grumbling, and like she just has these like little grumbling like dialogue balloons, and it just has like a scribble in it and whatever, and it's very much heightening the performance in a really great way. And that's all that's all Haas like doing his thing.
Mumbling to
That's
herself.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so smart and fun, and I love it. But yeah, little touches like that, like all that stuff has all been like the collaboration parts that that have been included are all like it's stuff like that where it's just like I mean, like all of Riley's covers, we realized that we need to we'll give them like a lot of, and I mean, I just didn't have the art done at the time or whatever for like some of them or like most of them, but like he was like this is what happens in the script. We realized like it worked way better when we would just be like give them abstract direction on stuff, like for issue 3. And issue 3 is like he knew sort of conceptually like what was going to happen. But if we had him like depict any scenes or anything that actually do happen that he would have seen visually, I feel like it would not have been the same, in terms of what he produced. So,
Sure.
So yeah, we just leaned on him to just go wild with it.
That's so cool.
And he's done a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
Nice.
You're moving into now. We're right in the verge of like con season, conventions and everything going on. What's your schedule looking like now? Because now you're gonna have a table. People are
Creator
coming out to
status.
see you. You're gonna
Right.
You're gonna be in Artist Alley and sitting with other creators, posting up. I know you're gonna be at WonderCon at the end of March. What's going on for a next convention or a signing or something like?
What you got going
people
on?
come and see you.
Well, I'm definitely doing WonderCon. I'm kind of just going to be laying low until I finish the rest of issue 6.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So that pretty much brings me up to WonderCon. And then after that, I mean, like, it's going to be like summer break, just because I haven't really had a chance to do anything for the whole last year and a couple months, except work on this. So my plan is to hit up as many cons as I can.
Okay.
Including at the very least like C2E2, and then I'm gonna try and hit up. I mean, I would like to make an appearance at Comic-Con, and then at San Diego, and then do New York as well, just in terms of like looking over the whole year. But then we also have the trade coming out in September, so I'm sure I very much would love to be doing signings for that. Like wherever. And the thing that's cool about the trade is that I can show up anywhere and do signings for that or in stores or whatever, and would love to. It's fun for me to be able to, I've only done a few signings, and I just love getting out from behind the table and like drawing table and seeing people, actually talking to folks, meeting people. And
Absolutely.
I went to LA Comic-Con here because it was very convenient because I'm based out of LA. And then I just kind of went to IDW's booth, did a little signing there. But it was awesome to be able to meet folks and just be in the same space as a lot of cartoonists and comic creators. And like, that is the one thing that I've been following a lot of people for a long time, and I just would love to meet them. So that would be incredible. I would love to do that.
And don't forget your local comic book stores too. Reach out to them and see if you can do some signings when those issues come out.
Sure. Oh, I'm sure they would. They would love to have you.
Absolutely.
And it's been awesome. I signed at Collector's Paradise here, which they have 3 locations, but I was signing over in Pasadena, and then also that's who we're doing like a signature series through, which has been great. Like the whole signature series is, you can pre-order all 6, and then they'll all just show up signed for you. But what's nice is that like Tony Fleece also did the same thing through here at Collector's Paradise, same place. And it felt like, it's funny because we've talked specifically because we occupy this very similar place in comics right now, right? And so it's just kind of felt inevitable. But I do feel like a lot of the success is like thanks to him paving the way with Stray Dogs.
Sure.
And I feel like it's, it's just, it's been kind of fun and interesting, and especially just on the local level here in LA. But yeah, I'm 100% open to stuff. It depends on, when I can get out. I've also been at Golden Apple Comics here in LA. But it's like, it is like, there's like no time. My wife and I just had a child a little bit ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. But yeah, time's been hard to come by.
Of course.
But
a child will do that. A child will do that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but man, as soon as I'm finished with issue 6, like I'm just gonna be like, I'm on break.
Depressurize a little bit.
Take a vacation.
Sean was down there in the chat, who was saying that over in I think Baltimore, they do their convention in September. So I mean, if the trade is out, around that
awesome.
time, but you mentioned C2E2. I mean, we're right on the verge of entering into con season. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and it'd be really cool too, is that you kind of get to see a lot of the readers and collectors in this different capacity now. Is that you're in the you've got your creator's hat on, and the series has been incredible. We couldn't be happier for you, and
I appreciate
we're
that.
We're really glad that we got to spend some time with you. Sorry for
Oh my
Shane.
God.
Sorry. I'm just saying, Horvath gets down there. Horvath gets down there, it's going to blow up, baby. It's going to blow up if Horvath gets down there. That's all I'm saying.
What's he talking about?
I don't know. I don't think he knows.
I'm saying at Comic Cons and whatnot, Marcus. If he gets down there,
If you will.
after the, if you will, once the final issue
Shane,
gets
it's okay.
out.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I
this
don't
is-
have to explain to Marcus what I'm talking
So
about.
this is what
Okay.
happens usually towards the end of the show. It gets a little crazy.
Thanks.
Okay.
Everyone starts
Thank you.
acting a little weird.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the end of the show when we start acting weird.
Usually
You
it's
were the
first
one
six-
making
That's
sex
the
jokes in
point
the
I'm
beginning
making.
of the show.
Usually it's the first
That's
15 minutes.
literally the
sex
point
jokes.
I'm making.
Wow.
To
Yes.
act like it's the end of the show is disingenuous, to say the least.
We're sorry about
Yeah,
this.
when you were saying naked paneling, I thought Paul got excited.
Yeah, you did.
Oh my word.
I got all my excitement out of the way. All right.
So what kind of comics are you reading? Actually, like that are outside of your own thing. If you, I know you're busy, but are you reading any other things that are kind of what's your side pleasure? I guess you could say in terms of like Marvel, DC.
Right
Your
there.
side pleasure, Patrick.
What's your parallel pleasure?
Yeah.
He's gonna fit in just fine.
To be honest, I honestly have not had a lot of time to read hardly anything.
Okay, I understand.
That's
pleasure.
It's been nuts, but I mean,
Understandable.
like I've made time for Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers just because I'm a
Yes.
huge fan of his
Yeah.
work, and
Yeah.
and also just love the idea that I would be reading a Transformers book.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Would be fun. I mean, it's funny because like I never would have just necessarily gone out of my way to do that.
Right.
Just for the title, but the fact that he's involved, I just knew it would be awesome and interesting, and it has been.
Yeah.
And so that one for sure I made time for. But I mean, like not a lot. It's honestly, it's been so I feel
Understandable.
bad.
Understand-
So like,
No,
I haven't
that's
seen
the
really
way it is.
TV or movies for like a year. But like I said, spring break. It's gonna be spring break all year. for the
Spring
rest of
break,
the
baby.
year.
There it
Spring
is.
break forever.
Yeah.
Because everything gets wrapped up like this month, right? I mean, like this month, next month. Is that right? I mean, you'll be wrapping up everything with 6.
Yeah,
like
I'll be
soon.
wrapping up at the end of March.
Nice.
Boom.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's understandable you're busy because I mean, once things take off, you have to strike while the iron's hot. It's understandable.
What's wild is that like I didn't expect like the other component to this is that you also just need to you have to publicize the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that until I had the book, and I was like, I was like cold calling random comic shops
Uh-huh.
and being like, hey, I mean like emails, but I mean like I was just like, here I am, this is who I am, this is the book. Here's some early reviews we've had. Here's a preview, would you be interested?
Right.
And I mean IDW has done a huge push as well.
Right.
But I was like, and many of them were always like, oh yes, we've seen this, thank you. But then other folks were like, oh, this is totally interesting. This is like right up my alley. Thank you for showing this. Or we can totally sell this with all this stuff. Thank you. Like we're
That's
interested.
awesome. The whole
and
spectrum.
So that was a big part. And then I was just kind of like, well, I have like my website, it's patrickhorvath.com, but like I hadn't touched it for like a couple of years because I was like, I need to like I need to make it just look like it's me.
Yeah.
And I have the comic now, I guess, and that's what all should be really.
Right.
And so I just had to like read, and I like recoded my little website and made it do that, and like just all this stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
We're doing interviews like this, which are awesome. Like, and again, just to thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you were
having
very
me on.
welcome.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's been a cool
it-
hang. Yeah,
This
absolutely.
is so invaluable. And I feel like it's any opportunity I get is just an awesome one. But I have to take them. It's pretty much how I feel about it. Like you just gotta get out there and talk about it. You gotta talk about the thing.
It's true.
We appreciate you, and
Absolutely.
we're excited for the book and how this series is gonna wrap up, and for anything coming down the line from you. I mean, we're excited. I'm looking forward to you getting a break, but we're excited.
But
We're
also,
excited for
enjoy
more
the baby.
stuff enjoy the baby. Marcus, what do you got for the people?
Hey, all I have to say is just shout out to our guest today. It was a pleasure, talking to him, and shout out to the sewing machine that's in his background that's holding up his printer.
Yes, we didn't talk about the background for this is like also the room I share with changing my child's diaper.
Okay,
This is the drawing desk. I don't know if you can see this. Is the drawing desk behind me. where I do all
there
this
it is.
stuff.
There it is.
Oh yeah, it's like you see the cast of characters.
I do. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I do that just so I can make sure, and I don't have to keep looking back and be like, "What is that? Does he have a thing? Does he have a zipper here? Like, what's right there?"
Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to you. I'm glad. thanks for hanging out with us today. Yeah, go check out Beneath the Trees, and you know, I'm looking forward to the collected edition. I'm a big collected edition guy, hardcover guy, so I can't wait for that to come out in beautiful presentation. And visit your local comic book shops. That third printing of issue 1's coming soon, so be on the lookout for it. Everybody, go to your local comic book store.
Sell it, Marcus.
And add it.
Yeah, he is.
Add it, baby. Add it, baby.
Thank you.
Sonny, what do you have, you bronze god?
It's so good to be back. I missed all the jokes. I hate you, Paul, still, but it's okay.
Whoa!
I know.
Whoa! I was literally about to say, show everyone your cool shirt, and he, before I can even say it, says, I hate you.
Show your shirt. I hate you.
Oh, that is a
I
cool
still
shirt.
hate you, but
Move your microphone. Nobody can see it.
It is dope.
Yes.
I've been trying to wear cool T-shirts every episode.
Yeah, or
Okay.
whatever.
This is, cool shirt number 487.
I don't know if I'm going to regret this. Uncle, nephew, Shane, what do you have for the people?
You know,
Nothing.
nothing. I got nothing. Patrick Horvath is one of the greatest people I've ever met. He's a wonderful human being. I had a great
I'll
time.
take it.
He made me laugh. He made me cry.
So you'll support it. He's cool.
He made me drink a lot of Trulies tonight.
No,
which-
don't put that
never
on him.
happens.
Don't you dare put that on
Don't
him.
blame that on this nice man. Don't blame that
Don't
on
you
this
put
nice
that on
man.
him, nephew.
Love you, buddy. This was a great time. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Shane, Paul, thank you, Shane. Paul, where could they find us if they're reading their Woodbrook Wanderer? Where could they
You
find
can
us?
find us if you're reading your Woodbrook Wanderer
Woodbrook
at Into the West Comics
Woodbrook
on
Wanderer.
Instagram and Twitter. We've been throwing clips up there,
Woodbrook
pictures up, promoting next episodes and things like that. You can find us at _comics on Twitter, where you might see us interact with like Patrick and talk about that and see what we're reading for that.
Absolutely.
And then audio podcasts, anywhere that you can listen to an audio podcast, you can find us at Into the West Comics. And go check out Patrick Horvath. He's at Catbird Planet on Instagram, at Patrick Horvath on Twitter. Check out his website, like he was saying, and yeah, just go out and subscribe, all of our stuff.
He's
all the
awesome.
stuff.
And
Oh, yeah.
most I want to say about Patrick's Instagram, he does like kind of work in progress, like maybe that's not the word, but where he's doing his watercoloring drawings and you're seeing it come together.
Super
And
cool.
that was super cool. That got
That's
me
cool.
really excited for issue 3, and I was just watching like your kind of process of drawing. So that's really cool. Go follow him for that. Follow us for more interviews like this with guys like Patrick, Tom and Ryan and Philip Kennedy Johnson and all the guys we have on all the time. We're so grateful for everybody. We're grateful
Thank
for
you
Quan,
so much.
who is always
Shout
available
outs.
for us, our
Gorilla
producer,
Cross.
the man behind the camera.
Beautiful studio
but yeah,
downtown
thank you
Las
guys
Vegas.
all very much.
What you got, Frank?
I don't have anything else to say. Patrick, I just want to say thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate it so much.
Congratulations.
We love the book. Congratulations on the book.
awesome.
Yes, exactly, Marcus. We're very happy for you. We can't wait to see how this series winds up and who Sam
yeah.
kills next.
Can't wait.
But your website, patrickhorvath.com?
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so check that out for sure. And we're looking forward to hope to have you on again down the line in the next few months.
Please.
You know,
That would be
Come back
incredible. I
next
would love
week.
that.
Yeah, next week.
Shane's
Sign
your
me
best
up.
friend.
Give me a chair.
Anytime. You're ready. Anytime. That's a short trip. You're in Cali. You come over. Make a little
on.
road trip.
What are you doing?
Go for cigarettes and just come over. Sure. But we do appreciate Patrick hanging out with us tonight. And you guys, for tonight, it's taco time in America.
I'm so excited.
If you haven't done so already, we please
guys are
consider
gonna be mad at me.
subscribing to the YouTube channel. We really would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Throw us a like, share with your friends, share with your enemies. And we appreciate it so much.
Whoever you got.
Again, thank you to Patrick Horvath. Go to your LCS, pick up Beneath the Trees, where nobody sees.
And thank you,
Do
Sean
it.
and Sean Irwin and Final Order Comment.
Everybody in the chat.
Brett, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys all.
Dub
Yeah,
chat.
Tessa was in there too. Yeah, appreciate
Tess,
you.
Brian, everybody.
Love you guys.
See you next week.
Good night, Eva. Bye.